Welcome to the lecture series in Science for Grade 10. Today, we will be learning about plate tectonics, particularly the distribution of volcanoes, earthquake epicenters, and mountain ranges. And at the end of this lesson, you should be able to describe and relate the distribution of active volcanoes, earthquake epicenters, and major mountain belts to plate tectonic theory. Fair use disclaimer. Borrowed materials included in this presentation are owned by the respective copyright holders and are used here for educational purposes only, such as teaching, copies for classroom use, and research. Our country, the Philippines, is rich with many landforms such as mountains, volcanoes, islands, valleys, canyons, caverns, and many more. These landforms are the solid features on the Earth's crust. Common examples of these landforms in the Philippines are shown in the given pictures. A. The Sierra Madre mountain range. B. Mayon volcano in Albay. And C. Mount Banahaw in Quezon Province. The question is, what do you think is the role of these landforms in the community and in our environment? Yes, they are the major sources of our basic necessities such as food, water, and shelter. Aside from that, they give us protection from calamities such as typhoon. Also, they provide livelihood as well as used for agricultural purposes such as farming. The landforms are formed in the Earth's crust. The crust is divided into two kinds, the oceanic crust and the continental crust. The crust is thicker in the continental crust and thinner in the oceanic crust. Together with the upper portion of the mantle, they comprise this rigid outer layer of the Earth called as the lithosphere. The lithosphere is divided into huge slabs of rocks called as plates. Now, let us learn about the major geologic features and landforms in the Earth's crust. The first one is volcano. A volcano is described as any opening in the ground where magma or molten rocks comes out. The organization or team in the Philippines which studies about volcanoes is the Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology or PHIVOLCS. A volcano is considered active if any of the following is satisfied. The volcano has erupted within historical times. Accounts of the eruptions were documented. The volcano has erupted at least once within the last 10,000 years. The other type is called inactive volcanoes. These are volcanoes which have no records of eruption. The Philippines has more than 200 volcanoes, and 23 of them are active. Shown in the table are some of the Philippines' active volcanoes, such as Mayon volcano in Albay, with 50 recorded number of eruption. Mount Taal in Batangas, 33. Mount Canlaon in Negros, 26. Mount Bulusan in Biliran, 17. Mount Ragang in Lanao del Sur, Cotabato, 7. Mount Didicas in Cagayan, 6. And Mount Hibok-Hibok in Camiguin, 5. How about the active volcanoes in the world? If we are to plot the location and distribution of the most active volcanoes in the world map, we can be able to locate a chain of volcanoes that encircle the Pacific Ocean, situated and confined to the boundaries. These long chain of volcanoes around the Pacific Ocean make up the famous Ring of Fire. However, volcanoes are not only found on land. There are other volcanoes located under the sea. The map showing the red lines depicts the location of underwater volcanoes at the seafloor, and these are called oceanic ridges. Similar with volcanoes on land, these are concentrated along the narrow zones. The second geologic feature or event is earthquake. An earthquake is the vibration of the earth due to the rapid release of energy. This energy comes in a form of wave, such as seismic waves. When we talk of earthquake, We always deal with these two terms such as epicenter and focus. What is the difference between epicenter and focus? Epicenters are points on the Earth's surface located directly above the focus of an earthquake, whereas the focus is located underground, the point onto which the earthquake or movement is generated. Now, let us try to plot the earthquake epicenters in the world map during the past occurrences or events. Each black dot on the map marks the location of an earthquake epicenter. Dots in the blue area represent earthquake epicenters under the sea, whereas dots in the white area represent earthquake epicenters on land. Similar with volcanoes, this means that earthquakes also occur on land and on water. As observed, the black dots are clustered together in certain regions. This means that earthquakes do not occur in random spots. In contrast, earthquake epicenters tend to occur in specific areas. Presented here are two maps. The first map is the distribution of Earth's active volcanoes, and the second map is the distribution of earthquake epicenters. If we are to compare the distribution and location of these two geologic features, we can observe that the chain of volcanoes that make up the Ring of Fire is in the same place of earthquake epicenters. Also, the earthquake epicenters under the sea are in the same location as the oceanic ridges. This means that the areas where we can find earthquake epicenters are the same location onto which the active volcanoes lie. The next geologic feature are mountain belts, also known as mountain ranges. These are groups or chains of geographically related mountains that are close together and are usually separated from other mountain ranges by passes and rivers. Shown in the given picture are some of the major mountain ranges in the world: the Great Dividing in Australia, the Rocky Mountains in North America, the Andes Mountains in South America, the Himalayas in Asia, and many more. In the Philippines, there are also formations of mountain ranges situated in different provinces. Here are some of those: Mount Caraballo in Central Luzon, Mount Cordillera in Cordillera Administrative Region, Mount Kalatungan in Bukidnon, Mount Kitanglad in the areas of Bukidnon and Northern Mindanao, Mount Pantaron in the areas of Northern Mindanao, Caraga, and Southern Mindanao, and the longest one, the Sierra Madre in Cagayan, Nueva Ecija, and Quezon. Now, let us try to compare the locations of major mountain belts with that of earthquake epicenters and active volcanoes. The triangular brown figures represents the location of active volcanoes. The orange lines represent the location of oceanic ridges. The red dots represent the location of earthquake epicenters. And the blue shaded areas represent the location of major mountain belts. Seeing the world map and tracing the locations of earthquake epicenters and locations of active volcanoes, it can be observed that majority of the longest mountain ranges of the world are also confined in the narrow zones or boundaries on which the said earthquake epicenters and active volcanoes are also situated. Comparing the distributions of these geologic features and landforms, we can say that the places on Earth where most of the earthquakes originated, or some mountains and volcanoes were formed, mark the boundaries of each lithospheric plate. These are built, formed, and generated by tectonic plate interactions. These are the key ideas in the Plate Tectonic Theory, which says that the entire lithosphere of the Earth is broken into numerous segments called plates. Seen in the picture are the major plates in the world, such as Pacific Plate, North American Plate, Eurasian Plate, South American Plate, African Plate, Australian Plate, and Antarctic Plate. Also, the minor ones such as Juan de Fuca Plate, Caribbean Plate, Cocos Plate, Nazca Plate, Arabian Plate, Indian Plate, Philippine Plate, and many more. As the plates slowly move relative to each other, geologic events occur along the boundaries. But how do plates move? Beneath the lithosphere is the asthenosphere, a region in the upper mantle consisting of low-density, semi-plastic rock materials that can flow like a fluid. It extends from about 100 kilometers to 700 kilometers below the Earth's surface. The asthenosphere is weak and easily deformed, allowing the tectonic plates in the lithosphere to move around on the Earth's surface. The mechanism which drives the lithosphere to move is called convection current. This is facilitated in the mantle due to the heat which comes from the Earth's core. As convection current occurs in the asthenosphere, the lithospheric plates also move. Tectonic interactions happen in the boundaries that generate earthquakes and form volcanoes and major mountain belts. This is the mechanism by which convection current occurs. Heat from the core warms the rock. The rock becomes less dense and rises in the upper portion of the mantle. The rocks cool down and becomes denser. Then it sinks in the lower portion of the mantle. Then the cycle continues. Therefore, temperature difference plays an integral role in the facilitation of movement. Here are the relevant references used in the presentation. I'll see you all next time in the next lecture series in Science for Grade 10.